Jesus. What a wonderful night. Nehemiah chapter 2. Chapter 2 of the book of Nehemiah. From verse number 6. And the king said unto me, the queen also sitting by him, for how long shall thy journey be? And when wilt thou return? So it pleased the king to send me, and I set him a time. Verse 7, moreover I said unto the king, if it please the king, let letters be given me to the governors beyond the river, that they may convey me over till I come into Judah. And a letter unto Asaph, the keeper of the king's forest, that he may give me timber to make beams for the gates of the palace, which appertaineth to the house, and for the wall of the city, and for the house that I shall enter into. And the king granted me according to the good hand of my God upon me. You may be seated. I want you to take note of something here. The last verse that we read ends up by saying, every request that I submitted before the king, it was granted because of the good hand of God that was upon me. Which means upon the life of Nehemiah, there was the hand of God. The hand of God upon his life was there to support him, to back him up, to empower him, even to energize him. There is completely nothing that you can do in this life, even in another life after this one, without the help from the hand of God. You need the hand of God upon your life. Having good plans, it is very necessary. Having better strategies, it is very important. But above it all, when everything has been said and done, the hand of God is a requirement. You need the hand of God upon your life. So now tonight I'm going to talk about one of the most important factors. Okay, we are dealing with strategies on how to get your mission, how to get your vision accomplished. And we're talking about a lot of things during our Tuesday services. And one of the things that I promised that I would talk about was the time factor. The time factor. The time factor. Still under construction. Still under the housing projects. We need to talk about time and to find out how time affects you, either in a positive or in a negative way. Is there time involved in what you are doing? What is the importance? What is the significance of time? Is it important to be talking about time when you want to get into a building project. Time. I will say out something here which most of you probably would find very heavy, because it will seem to be like an attack on the previous sermons that you might have heard. But I have to establish this thing. I have to push it so that you understand where I'm coming from. The time factor. The time factor. Now, there are people that when you look at their business proposals, it is very lucrative, very attractive, and very impressive. They know everything that is needed to come up with a proposal, to come up with a business plan. But there is one thing that you see missing in most of those plans. It is the time aspect. Most people, they put everything into place except time. Time. You don't find time. I will repeat. They put everything into order. They write everything. They do every research that is needed. But if you look at their plan, there is no time involved. They don't give themselves time. And there is something that happens when you don't put time to the plans that you have. We have read the scripture here. Nehemiah is a man on a mission. He's about to embark on a very serious project. He's ready to construct not just a 2-bedroomed house, but he wants to build the entire city of Jerusalem, which is broken down, not just the city, but also the walls. That includes the gates. But when he explained his mission, his vision to the king, after prayer and fasting, and the king was ready to agree and to allow him to go. But there was one demand from the king. The king said, I'm going to allow you to go because, of course, there is the hand of God upon your life. I cannot resist. I cannot deny you the opportunity to go. But one thing that you have to tell me now, you are going to be doing that for how many days? I want you to give me time. Apart from what you are going to be building, how you are going to be doing it, I need to understand. Give me time before I can allow you to go. So that becomes a principle. Before the king can release you and allow you to go, time has to come into play. He needs to understand. How long is it going to take you to build your own house? If there is no time involved, the king will not allow you to go. Even the devil himself, he will not allow you to build. Even God himself, he will not support you. You need to have time attached to the project. For how long are you going to be there? When should I expect you back, Nehemiah? You know, this is something that just came up. You have prayed about it. I can feel prayer. You have fasted about it. I know that. But I'm not going to allow you to go unless you tell me for how long is it going to take you before you can complete that project. So time is very important. Make plans. Go ahead. But please make sure after working out everything, give yourself time. If that project has to be accomplished within 5 years, at least it has to be written 5 years. Okay? Are we together? Don't leave that space blank. There has to be time. But in talking about time, I want to say something very important here. They spoke, Nehemiah and the king, they spoke about time. Number one. Number two, then Nehemiah said, I've given you time. I'm going to be there for so many years, so many months, so many weeks. I'm going to be there working on the project. And then the king said, okay, I'll allow you to go. And then he said, but for me to be able to stick to the time that I've given you, I need something else. Because there is something that normally delays people, even after setting up time. You say 2 years, and you go for 10 years. You say 10 years, and you go for 20 years. There is a hindrance, there is an enemy that fights against time. So Nehemiah said, for me to stick to the time that I've given you, I've got another request. In fact, 2 requests. Number one, I need a letter. Write me a letter that I would present to the kings that are beyond the river. That letter, it is so that they would allow me to pass. Which means they are delaying principalities that are on the way. Before you can start working on any project, there are kings beyond the river. You are going to face a very serious resistance. Let me have a letter. If you want me to be back in the next 2 years, let me have a letter for that safe passage. Isn't it amazing? Just look at that. Isn't it amazing? It's already known. Everything that you are going through now, and the people that are delaying you and fighting you and stopping your papers from coming out and so on. It is already known in the Bible. There are kings beyond the river. Before you can finally arrive at your stand, you have to pass through principalities. Tonight, a prophetic letter is given to you in Jesus' name. You shall have safe passage. He said, let me have a letter so they could allow me to pass. So the 2 years that I've given to the king, I would even spend them at the river if I don't have a letter. I need an authoritative letter. Let me have another piece of paper with your writing there. Put your signature there. So that when I arrive, they will open up the doors for me. Let me pass. Don't delay me, please. Don't stop me. I'm a man, I'm a woman on a mission. Okay. So where you are going from here, I pray and declare and decree, you shall not be delayed on the way. If there is any man or any woman on the way, I don't care he works in what office, which office, doing what. You shall not be delayed. Give me a letter. This letter is not for me, it is for the kings, authorities, powers and rulers and governors that are there. Because in as much as all of you would want to build, there are ministries out there, institutions out there, Sometimes they would want you to follow unnecessary procedures. And they'll put you on a waiting list. I don't know why they call it waiting list. And yet the stand is already there. The stand is already there. But they put you on a waiting. There is a letter tonight. There is a letter tonight that deals with every spirit of delay. He said, give me a letter. Sit down, sit down. Said, give me a letter. Said, give me a letter. Remember, I talked about the spirit of Jezebel, how it manipulates documents. Remember? Do you know it's amazing that even if you apply for a British visa, okay, there are requirements. There are things that they would say, produce this, produce this, produce this, before they can give you a visa. And what is needed for the visa application, it is no longer a mystery, it's already known. Okay? It's already the information, that information is available. It's already what is needed for the visa. What they need for the visa, for them to give you a visa, it's already known. You don't have to pray about it and ask God. It's already, there is a list of things that you have to present. Okay? Now, they want to know, how much do you have in your bank account? Not by word of mouth, they need proof, a document. Let's have a statement from the bank. How much do you have? And these are the British people now. They are saying, we can't afford to have a person coming here. We want to know, how much are you going to spend here? Are you going to add to what we have, or you're coming to subtract? Are you in addition? No, you see why? You see, this earth was created by your God, including Britain. Are we together? But there are kings. There are princesses there. There is a system that will have to stop you at some point. People that are there to make your passage difficult. I'm ready to go, but I need a letter. Though the hand of God was upon this man, and yet a letter was still needed. Sit down, let me show you something. 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 You see, they will say, okay, how about properties? Do you have properties here? They want to know whether you are going to come back. Do you have properties? You say, yes, I do have properties. You have properties? Yes, I do have properties. Proof. Let's have the deeds. Letters again. Let's have proof that you have a property. All that, it's not like they want to take it away from you. They want to know that whether you have reasons to come back or not. Do you have anything that you cherish in your own place, in your own country? They are not sure whether you will come back. They want to know. The only reason why you have to come back is when you have something here. So, do you have anything else? Cars or something? Yes, I do have cars. Let's have the books. Ha! Are you married? You say, of course I'm married. This is my wife, and she's even pregnant. They will say, that is not proof enough. We need a marriage certificate. Let's have another letter. This is my wife. I can even kiss her right now. They don't care. They don't. Let's have a letter. So you see, to them, marriage doesn't exist unless and until, okay, I don't want to talk about that one. But the problem now, when I spoke about the spirit of Jezebel, the problem is this. Even after producing everything that they require, still you are not sure whether you are going to get it. That's where you see demons coming in now. This was supposed to be automatic. After producing everything that you want, it was supposed to be there and there. But even after doing all that, they can still say, no, we are not satisfied. Ha! You're not satisfied? Yes, we are not satisfied. You can reapply. Why? So you see, even after producing everything that is needed, there is still another spirit that has to make conclusions, that has to be dealt with. Because there are people like that, after having done everything, the money is there, everything has been bought, the bricks, the cement, and everything, but for them to start working on the side, which means apart from the documents, there is a force somewhere. That's why I said the spirit of Jezebel, it's a spirit that manipulates documents. It's a very simple thing. There is a place being opened over there, and people are making applications, and you have enough money to buy that piece of land. It takes you years. So if you have managed to give them everything they need and they are still saying no, it means there is yet another force making decisions. Apart from what you have and your abilities and when you'd want to do it, there is a force that has to be addressed, which specializes in just delaying you. Hello? Hello? And he said, and another letter addressed to the king Asaph, or the keeper of the field, by the name Asaph. There is a forest where I can get timber from, and the man in charge there is called Asaph. Write a letter to him so that he gives me timber. For me to keep the 2 years that I've given you, or the 3 years, or the 10 years that I've given you, let me have safe passage, number one, because that's where most people are being delayed. Number two, I need capital. Let me have a letter, so that when I go out there, all the materials are at my disposal. I don't want to start working on a building and then I stop somewhere because of lack of this and lack of that. Let me have a letter to the keeper of the forest. And exactly these are two things that are stopping you from building. You are delayed in two areas: safe passage and access to resources. They were not captured. These ones, they escaped captivity. But there's another captivity that they never escaped: affliction. And people are laughing at them. And he said, why are they laughing at us? And they said, because Jerusalem is fallen. The walls have come down and the gates are burnt with fire. And when Nehemiah heard that, he said, I sat down and I started crying and mourning, and I prayed unto the God of the heaven. When Nehemiah heard of this development, he started crying. He sat down, he said, this is serious. He started crying. Look at the level of affliction. The people that escaped captivity But because they didn't have houses, he caused that affliction. People are still under serious affliction. Why? Because the city is broken down. Now, please understand, we're talking about building houses here, right? Look at this. 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 Some of you might think that maybe Nehemiah was going to build the temple. Read your Bible again. Nehemiah is not going to build the temple there. It's not about the construction of the temple. Some of you might say, because it was the house of God, that's why he was concerned, that's why he fasted. No, it was the city. It was the city of Jerusalem. That is why he prayed, he cried, he fasted, not for the house of God, but for a mansion. He wanted to build the city of Jerusalem. A project. He prayed to the God of the heavens. Why? Because the God of the heavens is concerned about you building a house. He's concerned. He's concerned. I prayed to the God of the heaven, not a strange one, the God of the heaven. Hear me on this one. My people are under serious affliction. Not because they were sick, lying on the sickbed, no. But they didn't have any accommodation. They are under affliction. It is an affliction. I want you to look at it that way. If you look at it nicely and so on, you will never come out of it. Look at it that way. Not having your own property, it is an affliction. Oh. If you don't take what I'm saying here, and you still want to remain a member of this ministry, there is a way that I will go about it, even if you don't want. Because where you are staying, it's a property that belongs to somebody. You are there because he allowed you. Some of you are at peace with your landlords and so on. Things are going to change. Things are going to change. He shall start giving you tough times until you move to your own property. Can I talk to somebody here? This is the number one cause why most people are poor and broke. Sit down, let me explain. I will tell you the number one reason and how you can come out of it. The number one reason. Why most people are not at that place where they should be, it is because of their environment. Environment plays a very big role in ensuring either your prosperity or your poverty. Nehemiah is in the wrong place. I want to address the first stage here. I've been giving you steps. The first stage, you have to start considering setting yourself free from an environment that is not conducive. Delivering yourself from an environment which is pushing you down. Which means what you need to do is to, for the next 1 week or 2 weeks or so, start working on an escape plan. There has to be a plan. There has to be a plan. Imagine when Israel was in Egypt, captured. They were there in Goshen. though they were enjoying some of God's blessings here and there, but this was not their land. It wasn't their place. And God was not willing to bring the promised land to Egypt. No. There was supposed to be a plan for them to move out of Egypt. There was supposed to be a plan. And a prophet was summoned by God to come and be part of that plan, for people to come out of captivity into their promised land. God, imagine God, as powerful as he is, he was able to kill even all the firstborn. He was even able as well to kill every Egyptian and allow the Israelites to just stay in Egypt and convert that Egypt into the promised land. But God is saying, no, it's an environment that I would want you to come out of. So there has to be an escape what? Plan. How are you going to deliver yourself from an environment which is not money friendly? What kind of environment am I talking about? Look at this. Most people, the majority of people, they are born in families which are not even motivating. Okay? It's a contribution. People like that, they are born within a family, and in that family, not even one person was prosperous. So when you are born in such an environment, there is no one to copy. There is no one to admire. Okay? So the environment is like giving birth to, you become like a product of that environment. You are not motivated. When you see something nice, you can't even admire. There are people like that. No matter how nice it is, they just pass like that. They don't care. Why? Because beauty has never been inserted in their mindset. They don't know nothing about beauty. You know that there are people like that. Some of them are your friends. It doesn't matter how good you dress. They can never say, you are looking nice. Never. 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 You pass before him 3, 4, 5 times. No, never. If that person is your husband, then you know where the problem is coming from. I'm helping you now. Beauty was far away from their clan. It's an environment. In such a person, you grow up. It's a broke family living in a broke village, and there is nothing happening there. You have a bus coming once every week. And after that, as a child, you were taken to a school. Look at the type of the school. Even amongst your classmates, there was no motivation. There were no role models. No one to copy in terms of academics. When we look at athletics, talents, there was no one. It's an environment. Even if it was during those days when the parents would be invited to come, not even one car that you would see. And these are the parents that are coming. Not even one car. It's a school. that child is going to also become a product of such an environment. And after going to such a school, by the time you think now the person is mature, he has grown up, and then he chooses a wrong church again. The problem that is planning to solve, even the man of God himself, is still under the same affliction. It's not every church that can treat poverty. Just like it is not every hospital that can treat cancer. No. Just like education has worked for other people, it has not yet worked for other people as well. Now, here comes the problem. Just like malaria, you once had malaria, some of you here, and you were treated and you recovered, and now you are here, malaria free. Somebody got malaria, the same malaria, and he got the same treatment and is no longer here. He died. The same treatment. Your own malaria responded to that kind of a medication, and his malaria, though it was the same malaria, it resisted the same treatment. In as much as education is a treatment to poverty, it works for other people and it doesn't work for other people. No. There are hospitals like that. When you go with certain diseases, they will refer you to other hospitals. But they are still called hospitals or in clinics. There are churches that can never treat poverty. Never. Never. Are they not churches? They are churches. Are they not clinics? They are clinics. Is God different? No, it's the same God. Just like we have one president, but we have different clinics. Some they can treat, some they can't. Under one person. Same God, different churches. Some they can treat, some they can't. If you want to know which one can treat, you look at the... listen. Even the ones that can treat, if you look at their management, you can tell. The one that can cure or that can treat or that can administer proper medication, you can look at their level of administration. Look at the people that are involved. If you are coming from such a background, watch, analyze before you join. Because if you are not careful, listen to me. Several people, pastors and men of God, are still trying to find their way out of poverty. Not yet out. A person who can come to you and say, I've come to collect you, let's go, there's a promised land. It has to be somebody who was once outside of Egypt. Okay? Moses was not in Egypt for the rest of his life. There was a time when he went out. And God himself advised him to go back. Unopaziva here panze. Wakambo panze where? Pana itase. Ande panze wakambo paende here panze. Listen to me. There is a doctrine that I believe is coming right from the center of the pit of hell. The devil doesn't want men of God to be prosperous, because he knows what then happens to the rest of the audience. So you are born, the family is broke, the school is broke. And even if you are going to be working in any company, in any organization, you look at the CEO there, please. Look at the people that are ahead of you that have been working for many years. You are likely going to become like them, no matter how much you try. Because this is the benchmark, that's the ceiling. You don't just join. You look at the person on top. Okay? 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 If you want to bring your vision under somebody's vision, you look at the greater vision. Where is he and where is she? You were born in a broke family, in a broke village, went to a broke school. You are working for a broke organization. And you also go to a church that is broke as well. Do you know that the only thing, the only answer that was left for you was to find a proper church? That's the only place. When you make a mistake on that one, that's the end of you. He is completely finished with you. When you choose the wrong place to go and worship, you are gone. You are gone. So how do I come out of this escape plan? If you are a victim of such a situation, how do you come out of it? Is it the will of God for you to be there? Even though you were born under such circumstances, there comes a time in every person's life when you have to make a decision. Either to change your lifestyle or to continue with the same lifestyle. I didn't have any privileges. I didn't have as many opportunities as other children might have had. But at this point now, I want to make a decision. Am I going to continue like this, or something has to change? So Nehemiah, he is in a foreign land, but before he can implement his great vision, he has to come out of that environment first. Deliverance from that situation. You start thinking a different way. I don't want to be like the rest of them. No. No. If I tell you something that the Lord showed me, it was an amazing revelation that he showed me. I looked at it. It was so wonderful. You know, you enjoy it when God is showing you certain things every time. He said, my son, you minister to people, you help them. And several other men of God that I've called myself are doing the same, helping my people. But this is the problem. When people find themselves in difficult moments or difficult situations, when they pray, when I'm invited to come and help and assist, as God and as loving as I am, I come and I rescue my people. I provide a way every time. If people are in serious situations and they are calling for my help, as God, as loving as I am, I come every time. And then I provide a way. But that way, it is for them to use so that they can come out of their situations. Which means without a way, they can never come out. If they cry unto me, listen to this. If they cry unto me, if you get this, you will have gotten something very, very big. If they cry unto me during their trouble, I, God, being as loving as I am, I will provide a way. But this way, it is not the way in, it is the way out. So they will eventually come out of any situation because I have provided the way out. But my people now, ask them this question: how did they find themselves in such a situation? What was the name of the way that they used? Because some of them were never born under such situations. Listen to me. Some of you now, you are at the center of a problem, right? This problem maybe it started like maybe 2-3 years ago or so. It's a problem. You are at the center of a problem. And you are asking God to provide a way out. But God said to me, if you ask them, how did they found themselves there? What was the way? How did they eventually got there? Because if you need a way to come out, there was a way to enter. How did you find yourself in such a problem? And God said, in as much as I continue helping my people, they will still continue going back. Why? Because the bridges are not broken. Are you following this? So if you find yourself in a problem, know how you got there. If you are ignorant of the way in, you are likely going to use it again. You are likely going to use it again. If God sets you free, you are going to use the same road again, and you find yourself in a similar problem again because you are ignorant of the road that you used when you entered into such a problem. I provide ways every time, my son. But these people, if you ask them now how they got there, they can't explain. Which means even if after I deliver them, they still can't give testimonies. They can't explain as well. They are ignorant of my ways and their ways. So look at you now. Where you are, the house that you're staying in, it's called Shushan. It belongs to somebody. You are under captivity. That's not your place. Okay. You have to come up with a plan. How am I going to get out of here? It starts with a plan. An escape plan. Though he's going to allow you, but this system in most cases, it doesn't allow you to go and build your own. It has to be an escape. How am I going to deliver myself from where I am now into owning properties? How? Before you can come out, forget it. Find ways of coming out. at all cost. Find ways of coming out at all cost. Don't enjoy that house. Sit down, cry, mourn before God. I'm sitting here and yet my own country, my own property is lying waste over there. I have to come out. That was the first thing that came into his mind. I have to come out of this place, Shoshan. I have to come out. 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 When you come out, what is causing you to come out? Some of you, if you look at, even if you analyze the life of Nehemiah, he wasn't an architect. He wasn't a bricklayer. Nehemiah was not even a carpenter. He knew nothing about building. Nothing about building. Nothing, completely nothing. In terms of education, nothing. But when he heard about the problem, he took it upon himself and he said, I have to do something about this. But there are other people coming from the same place. They have not yet started building. They are coming to give reports. And when Nehemiah was crying and praying, he was crying and praying alone. They never joined him. There are people like that, very comfortable. You are different from them. You are different from them. We are used to it. This is not our place. We forget. You can be there for a very long time until you forget this is not your place. You forget that. Vindai wains. Check. Mapenza kucha tiko kuratidza yakamusha. Tikuratidze musha. Hande izvo ngatifambei. Muno ndo munovata vana hande ngatibudende panze. Yadhi yakakura. Yakakura yadhi. Ukasatoudzwa izvozvi zvaumbu asifambe mushi. Ona uratidza vanhu imba yavaridzi. Ukabuditswa ukaendeswa pamwe vachauya futi sema vaenzi uchavaratidza futi upenyu hwese nokuchingovaratidza. Kongo wasiya vafambe zvavo vachingogara vadziona vasati vaenda kunogara ipapo. Listen, chiri kundibohwa kukuona uchinakidzwa uri ipapo ndo pari kundibohwa bedzi. Uri kunakidzwa uri ipapo ndo panongori neshungudza. Zvinowanika, there is a moment like that, but I'm saying there has to be a plan. Sit down with your family and come up with a plan and say, we are not going to be here for the next 2-3 years. No! Hey, I want to build. I want to have my own house. So now as you are coming out of that situation, you're as good as Nehemiah coming out of that place. And before you come out, there are things that you have to look at. 2 things. The first one is an escape plan. And number 2, you have to do what is called self-rediscovering. Self-rediscovering. Why? Because the environment that you grew up under made you into a cup bearer. And yet within you there is an ability to become a property developer. Some of you are struggling because your circumstance gave you a career. You are a cup bearer now. because of the way you have been brought up. This is not your profession. You have to rediscover yourself. In Shushan, they told you that you are a cupbearer. But when you go back to Judah and Jerusalem, you are a serious property developer. You have to rediscover yourself. Look at yourself and you say, I'm where I am now because of my circumstances. But I want to look into myself again. What do I have inside? Inside of you, there is what is called a talent. You have never worked on a building project before. All you are doing now is just to think about it. Exactly. That's what we're talking about here. That's the first stage. Start thinking about. You have never built before. All you knew to do was to mix this fruit and that fruit. You were a cup bearer, not because you were born that way, but it's because of the circumstance. But there is another level waiting for you outside. How determined are you to move out of this profession to your next profession? Hello? Yes. Hello? Yes. Oh, the cupbearer. God help me. How do I come out of this? How do I come out of this? How do I come out of this? If you feel that there is something wrong, don't suppress that feeling. It's a right feeling from God. Something is wrong. Don't suppress it. Don't suppress it. When you discover, I'm saying rediscover because you have been discovered before by your environment. And your environment gave you something to do, which you were never meant to do by God. But there is something outside of Shushan that you can find yourself doing. If only you can come up with a plan. How do I come out of this place, this career, into the next place and the next career? Here, you have got a different talent. Over there, it's an awesome talent. Awesome talent. And the talent, you can't even pray for it now. It was given the day you were born. It was already inserted inside of you. You have a talent. But the issue now is that most people, they spend the majority of their years looking for it. They can't find it. And by the time they realize, I can do this, and they are getting money, they can only enjoy that money for 2-3 years and they die. Majority of people, they can't discover their talent when it is still time. They are trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, and in time is flying. I'll come to the time factor, maybe next Tuesday, time factor, under that. But they are looking for it for years before they can find it. They don't know what exactly it is that God wants them to do. They don't know what it is. And yet, the sooner you realize, the better. Because once you realize the talent, you develop it. Once it is developed, it becomes skill. I talked about it yesterday. It becomes skill. Talent, it's a gift that you get from God. Skill, it's a developed talent. What you have now, which is yet to be developed, it is talent. The more you exercise it, it becomes skill. When it becomes skill, it can now translate into money. So when God gave you a house, what he actually gave you was a skill. Skill or talent, it is the shield behind which every blessing is hiding now. When God gave you a skill, what he actually gave you was a property. Because when that talent is developed, it becomes skill. When it's now a skill, it becomes a property. Talent inside of every person is just like a seed. Look at every tree that God planted. Inside of it, God gave it a seed. In every tree, you look at it in the book of Genesis, in every tree, God gave it a seed. There was a seed in every tree. So when you see a tree over there, already it is generationally minded. The tree that you see there, the next generation is found in the seed. Inside of that seed. Now follow this. Follow this. When God created you, there was a seed that he placed inside of you. And that seed that he placed inside of you is the same God who gave every tree a seed. So if a tree wants to multiply itself, it has to learn to release and multiply itself. Okay? Okay? But the problem now with a tree is that you are different from a tree, because a tree has got roots. But what you have there, those are not roots. Those are legs. Which means the problem with a tree is that wheresoever it was planted, it will have to die there. Okay? That was the problem. Even when the sower went out and he was sowing seeds, some fell on a hard place and so on. But they couldn't move away from that place. Why? Because they are not mobile. These are trees. It's a tree. Why did God didn't give you roots and he gave you legs? So that you don't die in one place. So that you don't die in one place. You are not rooted in the ground. You can be found here today, and next year you are far away from where you are now. You are moving to your next level. It's there. That talent that you got from God is your next generation. That's your seed. You can multiply yourself. Find it. Even if you are born in a situation where there are no business opportunities, to some other people, that's actually an advantage. Because if there are few business opportunities, it means the market is not yet flooded. It's not like now you can't do anything, everything is being done. No. Less opportunities, it means more opportunities, depending with your potential and how you have developed your talent into a skill. All you have now, if you are not translating that into money, is because you are keeping a talent. Develop it into a skill. I said yesterday, the most paid footballer now, he's not being paid because he's kicking the ball. All of us, we kick ball. I can kick the ball, give it to me, I can kick it. But they are not willing to give me those amounts of money. Why? Because it's just an issue of kicking. It has to develop into skill. When it becomes skill, then you are ready to get some cash out of it. Just like music, all of us, we can sing. All of us, we can sing. So you do my uniform, this is an uniform. I can also sing. This is your uniform. But why do you meet every time, now and then, and you are practicing? Why are you doing all that? Translating a what? A talent into a skill. Unless it becomes a skill, no one is willing to buy it from you. No one out there is looking for a talent. No, they are looking for a skill. The little things that you can do now, how many times are you doing it per day? Keep on doing it. Do you know that when David used a sling to kill Goliath, that wasn't his first time to use it. He was using it over and over and over again. But most of the times that he was doing that, he never got money out of it, but only one opportunity. Don't stop doing it because you're not getting any money. No. You are perfecting the talent. Behind the talent, there is the vision that you have. There is your property. There is a car behind it. Listen to me. It doesn't matter that every other person is doing what you're doing. Still, there is something that they're not doing. It might be the same talent, but the skill is different. The same talent. If you find yourself doing, I don't know. The problem with some of you, mneta musika pana ba madomasa. Esani ngakafana na madomasacho. Ese kwano oda ndoko uno oda ma paper bag I'm no rongedzera ndoma mwechiti wise my skirt box. Do you know that there are certain women that when they are going out to buy tomatoes, they look for the most clean person, smart person? Apart from madomasa kwa iwo muridzo madomasa acho. Ipapo pakarongererwa madomasi ndo pari kuchinjwa mwana napukeni magowa ari kubviswa ari kuiswa pa vakomana. Muri kutengesa madomasi chetere kana kuti nenhunzi pa. It is the same talent but develop it into skill. Hello. You are still a cup bearer, but inside of you there is something totally different from that. Do you know that if a spider wants to have a spider web, it doesn't go to the shops. It's inside. Something that can trap food for it. It's not anything that it has to go and buy. It's inside. It has to know how to bring it out.
Oh, yes.
Spiders don't buy spider webs. They produce. But when the spider web is still inside that big tummy, it can never catch a fly. It has to be brought out. Your house right now is inside of you. Inside of you now. What is shocking is that some of you right now, there are some of you here, you are paying maybe $500 a month. Some of you even $1,000 as rent every month. Every month. For the next 5 years, how much is that? Hello? 60,000. What you need to master now, I want you to try to get rid of self-gratification. Don't look at yourself now. Say to yourself, I heard this now, the latest Samsung, the latest iPhone. Okay. How much is it? If it is 1,000, how many bricks can you buy now? Some of you, we're not doing a whole phone, yes, whole phone, yes, dinner. No, namun agabata masifoni kudayiso aninga ine jutsko nemafoni aninga ari 16. Apana kana wani inorira musuwere wese. Dzinowandire kudaro. Ayo kaka. Hey. Even with what you have now, you can buy a bag of cement now. Hello? 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 How many square meters is the iPad? It is equivalent to a stand somewhere. Nehemiah, listen to me. Nehemiah, all this time, you see, it's amazing. Only to realize now that Nehemiah, all that he was praying for and fasting for, is to build the city. He's coming to build. And he had to fast for that. the property was found in Anatoth. It's not just a name of a place, it's a description. Which means every prayer that you have done, there shall be an Anatoth found. A place where you would look at and say, this is what I've been praying for. Even if you have cash to buy that house and pay 1 million cash, we still encourage you to borrow. It's wisdom. Yeah. Especially when the economy is too sensitive. It's wisdom. Join them. And you take it little by little from under the bed and you are paying it off. Let them know that you're also borrowing. The next verse, please. Okay, listen to that. Okay, look at that. This is Abraham now responding and answering God. And he said, Lord God, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? I've heard a promise, I've heard a prophetic word that I will own this place. But how? I need proof. Where are the title deeds? How do I know? It's a question directed towards God. And God, in answering that question, move on to the next verse and see how they entered into an agreement. And God said unto him, take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon, and then sacrifice. And if you read it on and on and on, you come to a place where you see God coming to confirm that covenant. Abraham was very intelligent. How can God give you a place and you celebrate over that place, and few years down the line there is another government that comes and says that place belongs to us? How are you going to have it? And Abraham says, no, here we believe in documents, we believe in titles. I have to have something. And God said, if you want to enter into an agreement with me, then you have to be ready to sacrifice. So listen to this now. I'm asking, because I've already asked you a question. What do you think is going to push God or motivate God for him to support you? If it is your project, you run it by yourself. But if you'd want God to be part of it and to support it, the thing has to be registered in the heavens. And how do you register a company? Do you know that even if you're opening a bank account, there is a minimum amount of money that is required for before you can open an account, depending with the bank, right? There is a minimum that is required. There is a 10% in every bank. There is a tithe that is required for an opening of any account. Okay? 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 Now, look at this. Look at this. Have you ever seen a scripture? Okay, Look at the book of Malachi, chapter number 3, verse 11. Malachi chapter 3, verse 11. We want to get this thing settled. Your source, where you are going to be getting money from, for you to be able to start building now. Let's look at that. That place where you are collecting money from, is it properly registered according to heavenly standards, earthly standards? You might have registered it down here, but up there, not yet. And I will rebuke, after he talked about tithe and offerings, he said, if you do that, I, the Lord, not you, you don't have that power. That power is never given to you to rebuke devourers. I will rebuke the devourer for your sake. Which means it is not your duty to rebuke the devourer. I will do that for your sake. So you keep quiet, just to pay your tithe, and then I will rebuke the devourer for you. So these could be demons that you can't fight by yourself. Let me fight them for you. This is what God is saying. I will rebuke the devourer for your sake, and he shall not destroy the fruit of your ground. Watch this now. Look at what is happening here. Go with me to the book of Galatians. Chapter 3, verse number 14. Jesus was crucified from the previous verses, and now this is the reason. Jesus was crucified. He was now hanging on the cross. Why? So that the blessing of Abraham might come on the Gentiles through who? Okay. Look at it. The blessing of Abraham. Isn't it amazing? A blessing of Abraham. A blessing associated to an individual. Can I show you something? He wasn't the only rich person in the Bible. There was also Solomon. And Solomon, the Bible says, he had made silver and gold as common as stones.
Yes.
There's Solomon, David, Job, all these people. They were very rich. Even Moses himself, he was very rich. And yet Jesus never died for the blessing of Solomon. Why? Why? He never died for the blessing of David. Never died for the blessing of Job. Why dying specifically for the blessing of Abraham? Because Abraham is the only recorded tithe payer. I'm not saying they were not tithers, the rest, but I'm saying recorded. He opened up the dimension of tithe, and others were just following. So if Abraham paid tithe, I think you now know where he paid tithe, right? Chapter what of the book of Genesis? I think you can see this it's on the screen. When Abraham paid tithe to Melchizedek, who was Jesus Christ himself, I believe that. We have dealt with that already. He was Jesus coming to Abraham to collect tithe. He never asked for it. He just appeared. No message. He never delivered any message. Neither did he lay his hands on Abraham. He just appeared, just to show up. Just loitering around to see whether Abraham was going to think about it. And Abraham paid tithe to who? to Melchizedek, and Melchizedek blessed Abraham. But look at this now. Look at this. Which means, of all the people that God blessed, it was Abraham who secured his blessing and ensured his blessing. So the rest of the people that were rich, by the time Jesus is coming to die, their wealth had already expired, except Abraham's wealth, because it was protected from the devourer. So Jesus wouldn't have come to die for Solomon's blessing, because it was only Abraham whose blessing was secured and protected. Now let me just throw in something here. Very, very, very important. If God said, if you pay tithe, then I will protect and I will rebuke the devourer. This is what happens. This is what happens. This is what happens. He's not only referring to demons. Devourers are not just the demons. Devourers are not just insects and worms that would come and eat your crops. The devourers can be anything that is coming against your profit, coming against your interest. And that anything might mean humans. You can have people in your life that are devourers that God has to rebuke. Okay? If you try to rebuke them yourself and you chase them away from your house, another one will come. You will have devourers as people. So now, let me show you something. I know, pastors, you understand this. So if Abraham's blessing was tithed, let me put it that way. If he paid tithe and he was left with the 90%, which means God would make sure that there is no devourer coming against the 90. And the devourer in this sense could even be the Gentiles. If a Gentile is not going to follow the same concept, the same principle of tithe, if a Gentile is not going to follow the same concept, the same principle of tithe, for you as a Gentile to access the blessing of Abraham, you don't have to be a devourer. If you are a devourer, you can't touch it. God himself will stop you. I'm talking about a case, a situation here, whereby God looks at you and he sees you as a devourer. And you are not permitted to partake of Abraham's blessing. You are disqualified, and what makes you a devourer, it is because you are not following the same principle. You don't believe in tithe. So Abraham's blessing, look at it. Abraham's blessing is here. This is Abraham's blessing here. And God says, because you have paid tithe to me, I will protect the 90% against any devourer, meaning even people that are coming to collect Abraham's blessing. I will protect this blessing so that even the Gentiles will not get it unless they follow the same principle. So before you can touch Abraham's blessing, you have to be verified. You have to go under serious scrutiny. And how do you disqualify yourself from being a devourer? You follow the same principle. Do you believe in tithe? So when you pay your tithe, you have registered your company.
Thank you.
And once your company is now registered, it is now allowed by the state of the heavens to operate and to have any kind of a deal whatsoever. Two people that you have to enter into an agreement with, the local government and the heavenly government. And how do you register your company with the heavens? Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. Listen to me. Even this ministry, if we were not tithing as a ministry, would have gone by now. Our enemies would have devoured us long time ago. There is a way that God protects us. It's not just an issue of coming here to worship God. There is a way, just looking at our numbers, we should be burying at least 5 people a day. But this ministry, you can never underestimate it. Its roots are deep down into the soil. It is standing on a very firm foundation. Very serious principles and concepts of God. You cannot shake it. You cannot move it around and toss it up and down. No. No. There is a very serious protection and security. Why? Because it is registered. Not only with the registrar here, but with the heavens. With the heavens. So today I've just given you the concept of covenants. How do you enter into a covenant with the local people? There are papers that are required. You have to go through those papers. How do you register your company and get the support from God? God is never going to support you. He is never going to supply. He's never going to meet your needs unless you enter into serious terms. And God looks at, so what am I going to get after all this? If there is nothing for him, do it yourself. The same principle applies everywhere. If I'm not going to get anything out of this, why should I support you, my son, even if you were God yourself? Why would you support such a person? What am I going to get out of all this? Your house, your company, your business, your suit, your shoes, your wife, your children, everything is yours. Why should I support you? Tell me. I'm here, I have all the time. Explain to me, why should I support you? This is God asking you a question. So if your company is not paying tithe, it means it is not registered, and God will not allow it to operate and to function properly, because He's never going to benefit from it. And He's not going to rebuke the devourer that comes against it. They will feast on your business, feast on your idea, feast on your vision. Register it here and register it up there. I'm giving you the first stage. We are going ahead. Something is coming. The first stage, analyze your source, where you are going to be getting that money from for you to be able to build a house. Look at the place. Look at it. Look at it. Is it safe? Are you sure you are going to be running that same business for the next 2 years? If other businesses are coming down, which are very much well structured, you see them coming down. Why? Because recession is a devourer. Established organizations are coming down. What is going to keep you high up there if it is not only God? It is because they were following every other principle except the principle of tithe. There comes a time when the heavenly taxman comes after you to check your books. And you'll be placed under curatorship. And some of you will be blacklisted. There is a time when God comes down to look into your financial affairs. What have we been getting lately from this your company? Why should we support it? You're occupying other people's space. Source. Don't say, okay, so I think, men of God, where you have studied, I think it's too far. How about if I don't have any source? How about if I don't have any company? Why? The question comes back to you. Why is it that you don't have? Who is stopping you from starting anything? Not just something, anything. 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 I don't believe that we can't even tolerate that here. Because just by the way you look, how bright you are and promising you are. No. There has to be something. Let something be done and let it be running for 2 weeks, 2 months, and nothing is coming, but at least there has to be something. Still, there has to be something. There has to be something happening. There has to be an activity somewhere. So that when God is about to bless you, there is a reason. Am I talking to somebody here? Yes. Am I talking to somebody here? Yes. If you think you can't be doing business because you're spiritual, here's Jeremiah. Here is Jeremiah here, a prophet. So they signed the agreements. So where you are now at your level, to be honest with you, if I really want to be frank with you, there are places now that even if you are to sell your jewelry, the neck chain that you have, even your ring, you can buy a piece of land. Before we look into your source, already what you have could be the source. Now, sitting where you are sitting now, looking at me, there is something right now on you. Now, There is a crowhead, there is a chief somewhere who has been praying for that shirt that you are wearing now. And is willing to divide his kingdom into two. Can you imagine that even in places where papers are not required, you don't have a place?